know, guys, like any of you know, it's but you know, this specific game that I would like to show you. I remember when I saw this game, it's very, very impressed me because I felt like, wow, that's very strange. Like at this highest level, so the game, it was like such an easy work for White. And guys, well, White will be our world champion, Magnus Carlsen. I always say, like, you know, why not to learn from his games if he's so good, right? It's always a good idea. And he played against French Grandmaster Vacher Lagrave, right? Or how we call it, MVL. So I think the game has been played. It was last year, one of these like internet tournaments, you know, during the pandemic. It was not in person. It's played online. I'm not sure about time control. Probably some 20 minutes each, but well, which is already kind of like promises high level among these players. And guys, but I'll start here. I'm pretty sure Magnus, when he went for this position, he still knew the theory. It's still theoretical position with some like 8 games played here, like, you know, some really strong grandmasters like Lequank against Artemiev played this position. Of course he knew. Now it's also, guys, it's very interesting. I think Magnus, since he's such a universal player, right? So he likes to take the players to the territory that are not very comfortable. So from what I understand, MVL is he's not a big fan of like playing like end game positions or some like, you know, very quiet positional play. So very clever. The same like he played against Firuja, right? The same he's playing Firuja, like, you know, something simple like end games. Or let's say when he plays against Giri, then it will be complicated game because, well, if there is a weakness in Anish Giri play, so that will be some double-edged complicated positions, you know. So very, very clever. So that's what this kind of players can afford, right? I mean, to their selves. Okay, guys. So here's the position. I can tell you that it was a Grunfeld opening, Grunfeld with Bishop D2 variation. And then it seems like, I don't know, kind of like similarly harmless line, traded on D4, and then traded queens. And we got to this position. So it's white to move, and I wanted to ask you guys. So it's basically for you, it starts here, right? Like for Magnus, probably he knew a couple of more moves, or maybe he analyzed the position. I don't know, right? Now, guys, what do you think? But by the way, if there are some like new players, we are trying to do this kind of like interactive stuff when I ask questions and you answer. Although, guys, very important to mention, you have one attempt, right? I will see only one answer. I'm not going to remember that you send me one answer, second answer, third answer, and then pick up from this answer. So basically, we play like a touch and move, right? You answer, and then I remember your answer, like, because, well, if you're right, I'll mention your name, right? So, guys, therefore, kind of like, you know, to think properly before you answer, right? And then move forward, right? And you know, let's say if you can give the variation, you can explain, add like text if you want. The more you add, like, the better for me, right? And basically that's it. So let's go. White to move. What you would play? Hi everyone. not so many answers. Like you are pretty quiet today. Okay, guys, interesting. There have been many ideas like you suggested, starting from h4, and there is knight d2, and knight d5 was very popular. C file. Okay, interesting. Many thoughts, guys. First of all, like h4, right? Yeah, money. You sent me second time. I actually remember 95. Guys, like h4, like really. I mean, no queens. Like, what do you want with h4? Like, first of all, I can do bishop g4 right away, right? But even if I allow h5, and then what? Hg6, like it's without queens. There is no mate, right? Like, you understand. Or like, but h4, bishop g4, right? Guys, if we are talking about move 95, there is a problem. 95, I guess, like everyone wanted to take with a pawn, right? That's the point, not with the rook. 97. Now, if you don't play d6, you might lose the pawn, right? So you probably d6. You play d6, and what you achieved? You just like simplified everything, and then what? Time to agree to draw. What we achieved? Let's say knight f5, something, right? Also, rook e8 is coming. We have to be careful, right? So this is like this is just simplifying, guys. Now, if we want to play for a win, and we know that we play white and it's Magnus, we play for a win. We need one of the ideas that we need to keep the like more pieces, some tension, right? So there was one player who actually mentioned, like, out of all the answers, Saidarajas. So he mentioned the move. So his answer was knight d4, knight e5. I have no idea why knight e5, but he mentioned the move knight d4 that actually Magnus played. Guys, the problem is we have to rush with this idea, because in general, if you ask yourself what black wants bishop e6 followed by rook d8. Let's say this rook, right? And then what do we have, right? So we need to get ready for the setup. Now he played knight d4. Which I think like the best move, like at least like the best chance in this position. I don't think like knight e5 is something here. I mean, knight is coming on c4. Yeah, I never thought about this move. Maybe there is some point, but you know, black captured on d4 here, and like in this position, captured, and then played logically bishop e6, right? Guys, what is here? How we should continue? Now I'm about, probably regardless your move, I play rook d8. So let's say you send the answer, let me know like what you do, right? Like, let's say you play some move, allow rook d8. What after rook d8? Yeah, castle is possible, of course. Anyone else wants to answer, like, or we can move forward? Again, guys, knight d5, what happens with like d5 pawn, right? And I think immediate knight d5, there could be rook d8. Right? So it's only creates the target. Like I don't think it's a good idea, right? Yes, guys, in general, most of the players already, the majority set castle, right? The majority set castle. Now guys, you know that, like, probably most of you aware of the rule, when it's endgame, it's not necessary to castle. Moreover, in most of the cases, it's a good idea to have king in the center, right? Because king becomes a valuable piece. It can play, like, you know. However, there is a problem here. Wow, that's too original, Asher. Like, I don't think it's like rook is well placed on before. There is a5 and so on, right? It's too artificial, guys. I mean, we would love to play something and stay with the king on e1, but rook d8 is coming, and we need to fight for D line, right? D file. Now, like rook d, maybe we would move, like somebody mentioned, like f4 g4, but rook d8, and then black gains control over d file, and then what we have, right? So guys, that therefore is just like we have to castle here. There is no choice. It's just like a specific situation, right? So after this, black played rook d8. Obviously, almost everyone mentioned that, who mentioned castle, like, of course, rook d1. That's the whole point. Rook takes d4, rook takes d4, king f6. Guys, what do you think? How to respond to king f6? Okay, guys, 100%, 100%. Everyone is giving the right move. That's awesome, guys. Yeah, it's basically no brainer, because black literally can play king e5, right? If necessary, the king e5 can come. So of course f4, and it also helps our plans, right? F4. Okay, so natural, he played king e7, guys. King e7. Okay, next question. What we are doing here, guys? How to continue? Please take your time. Okay, anything else, guys? 10 seconds. Those who didn't respond yet. Okay, guys. Basically, I would say that there are 3 major solutions according to your answers. Now, one is king f2, activate the king. Another one, g4, advancing. The third one, e5. Guys, it's usually very, like, you know, guys, very, very important end game. King becomes very valuable piece, especially that he can potentially play rook d8 and so on, right? So Magnus played king f2, guys, but I want also to discuss what you suggested, right? Now e5. This could be one of the ideas with this pawn structure. Now, what bothers me a little bit, it's in this position that potentially f6 can come. Maybe not right away, right, guys? Right away, I'm worried that white will have some opportunity like knight e4 check somewhere, knight c5, like maybe starting bishop f3, right? So there is this maneuver. I don't know how to deliver this precisely. Maybe bishop f3, then knight a4 c5. Looks quite dangerous, right? Looks quite dangerous. Like, but then I feel like I'll start with knight d7, which is anyway useful, and then maybe f6 next, or like, you know, I'm kind of like ready, maybe start advancing also on the king side. So I'm not sure about this position, guys. Usually the idea now g4. So like some players like g4 f5. The problem with that, guys, I still not sure, and I don't want like clarify the pawn structure. Maybe f5 is kind of annoying, but you know, you can easily expect move f6 from black. So now if you play f5, I'll have bishop f7. And you will think twice whether you want to allow the square like for my knight, right? So, guys, well, king f2 basically keeps flexibility. Of course, we are talking about e5. That could be like black can play f6, and maybe we don't have the option of e5, right? But seems like e5 a little bit too early for us, right? And you know, we want to play for a win. Probably we shouldn't initiate trades, right? Like I think like we should keep like as many pawns as possible. So Magnus played king f2 in this position. King f2. I think that was the idea of Bashar. He went rook d8. He went rook d8. I think now, in general, not so much difference, but I want to say that he played king f3, right? I mean, in general, like rook d8, king f3, maybe later also. I mean, but then there will be check on c4. Yeah, so that's the most accurate. And black captured on d4, king d4, and played f6, as I promised, right, guys? So here I have two questions, if you can answer, right? Number one, strategically, what will be our plan of action in this endgame? What we should do? Like you know, like what is our concept? Like where we play, well, what we do exactly, and so on. And the second question, the best move. Okay, Manish, if you say so, like what's your move? Okay. Okay, guys. Okay, so well, appreciate like very interesting answer. So you like felt good to explain. Okay, guys. Very interesting. So like you suggest some of the moves that you suggested, I think they are like you know, I didn't know they exist. Like, well, so shockingly, knight d1 was very popular move. I mean, guys, it's a little bit strange. Like you feel like knight on c3 is bad. Like, well, we need to improve. Like knight. Uh, I mean, very strange. I mean, I'm like, it's interesting move, but I'm surprised that it was very popular. Like 3-4 players, knight d1. I think we have some kind of like bigger issues right now, like to develop our play. That then maybe if we are all set, we can go with this maneuver, right, one day. But in general, I don't have any problem. I think like knight is very well placed on c3. Well, you know, you get to e3, yeah, it helps maybe king side. Guys, okay, so here what we have now. There was an answer that like the kind of like a few players correctly suggested that our play should be on the king side, because the reason is very simple. We have a majority, right? We have a majority. So this is in general where we're supposed to play, right? With two ideas: either to create a pass pawn or to create targets for the future attack of our pieces or maybe our king, right? So there are two goals. We start advancing and then we'll see what happens, right? Maybe it's just a target. Yes, so there was somebody who mentioned that he started very nice, like, okay, we have space advantage, majority, and then he said, like, we need to play on the queen side. That was very interesting. Guys, regarding the queen side, now we have to watch out queen side as well, but rather for prophylactic purposes, right? Because this is the side where black has the majority. Well, I will come to this money. So black has a majority here, right? So we have, like, you know, to see how black counterplay going, if possible, to restrict black activity, right? We cannot say that, oh, well, we play on the queen side, right? After all, it's like, you know, what to play what right now it's not clear, right? We will see how the game turn out. Now, guys, let's discuss the moves. Now, first of all, I want to say that Magnus played here in this position h4. Now, it's a good move, but not perfect. Not perfect. I mean, I would rather try. I'll explain, right? Like why. Now, so let's discuss the moves that I think, guys. First of all, this looks to me like very bad. I think after I take like this, there is no way to win this position if white is not worse. So that's ridiculous transformation. That's ridiculous transformation, right? Now, guys, so like we shouldn't rush with this move, like absolutely, right? Maybe one day, yes, but not like that, right? Now, Julem, you mentioned e5, and I think like one more player was who suggested e5. So like, why not to create pass pawn? Guys, the problem is like I would assume the recapture is f5. Yeah, it's kind of like a little bit too early. Then we play 97. It's potential target. It's not like we can progress. We can progress with this pawn. There is a clear way, right? Yeah, I don't see. I think it's a little bit premature. We just keep this idea for the future. Yeah, you know, like we can play e5 anytime we want, right? But in some sense, I think it helps black because we already clarify our idea. Oh, we played e5, not h5, not g5, right? So black can concentrate on this pawn. So now, guys, here's important point. Yes, here's the important point. As I mentioned before, one plan is to advance our majority, right? The second plan, though, it's watch out queen side and his play, right? Because if you ask about what black is going to do, black dream starts rolling on the queen side somehow, very hard, right? But what is happening in this position, this move that Magnus played, if we play with black, there are two options. Now, we need to do something, right? We need to do something. So one idea, probably the most simple, is to play bishop b3. Now, what is the point? I'm preparing knight d7 with idea c5, right? And the second idea to play a5. I mean, somehow start advancing, right? It's like not a big advance, but at least if what. So next move 97, right? Next move 97. So if you play before, it's we trade in, and then I just need to carry out c5, c6, b6. Now, yes, Julem, you got the point right. So, guys, of course, when you play a5, it's like this move, especially when they played like rapid chess, this move looks a little bit problematic, right? Like the pawn might be, but it seems like after bishop d7, for instance, maybe even bishop b3 is available, it's actually no problem, right? Therefore, Julem already got the point, guys. Therefore, the best move in this position for black, for white, I'm sorry, to prevent this counterplay. So Julem already got this. Guys, do you understand what white should have played here? Yes. Guys, so this move is like for prophylactic purposes. There was one player, I think like Aditi, who mentioned this move before. Yeah, so basically, yeah, so everything is, he got it right. And you know, guys, so it's right now, at least it's restricting counterplay, right? Not allowing a5, controlling c5, and also bishop b3 is not so efficient, right? Because our pawn already on b4. So that would be a little bit more precise than, like, well, I would say significantly more precise to compare with Magnus did. Now, guys, okay, so let's move to the game. I already mentioned, I wanted to ask you, now let's say, why h4? Why not g4? Why not g4? By the way, that was the answer. Like a few players suggested g4, right? I'm not talking, guys, let's say forget about like a5 and bishop b3 idea. I'm like not happy with this move in general, like on the king side. I'm not happy on the king side. Now, what could be the defensive plan for black in this position? Guys, what do you think? Very interesting. So Asher, you say like, wait, okay, well, you wait, I'm advancing, right? h4, g5, let's say. Knight d7, h4, f5. I don't think f5 is a good idea, Saidaras, because you would allow me to create pass pawn. ef5, gf5, g5. So Ager, you say g5. Guys, so we are talking about black to move, right? So somebody send me e5. So black to move in this position. Guys, this is correct. In general, bishop b3, knight d7. Yeah, it's probably possible, guys. In general, the problem is the idea of g5 for black, right? And then we will have also these pawns located on the light squares, and we have a light square bishop, so it's kind of like restricts the activity, right? But guys, very interesting thing here that I think like maybe if it's immediate g5, fg5, fg5, e5, it's a little bit vulnerable. Yeah, so it appears that black actually can carry out this idea, but starting with h6. So, and then I want g5 and recapture with a pawn, right? And this move doesn't stop, and g4 is even more vulnerable. Guys, so therefore, it's if we already advance, it's very clever to start with this move. That keeps more flexibility. The only concern for white player, so we a little bit left king side, right? Like, you know, guys, but you know that a5, bishop e3 ideas, but we are talking about king side pawn structure. So the only concern could be like, of course, you have to answer the question, what about h5? Everyone noticed, guys. Yeah, everyone noticed. 100% results. Yes, absolutely, guys. f5. Manish. No, not e5. Not e5. f5. You're the only one. Guys, everyone else f5, right? So this helps basically to guarantee pass pawn for us, right? So this position. So this is what we wanted. And then, like, I don't know, maybe ef5 even like first, right? But it's already big achievement, because with the help of this pawn, we can deflect black pieces, king, and then let's say attack king side, right? Now, if he plays bishop f7, we'll have a very pleasant choice in this position. We can take, right? And now we can do g4 anytime, or I would even try to see like what happens with this pawn, how he's protecting exactly, right? So very bad, very bad. So like h5, not a concern at all. So we would rather like, you know, happy to see h5. White is doing great, right, with f5. Okay, so this was played. Now, now as we know, a good moves. So he missed the opportunity. I have the feeling, guys. I have the feeling that he didn't feel the danger. He didn't feel the danger and was like kind of like careless. He felt that anyway that there should be some kind of like draw, like not so much material. It's limited and this. Now, after knight g7, guys, when you prepare c5, so this is already, I'm not even asking you. That's no brainer, right? Guys, this time is no brainer. We, of course, we do not allow c5. And as we know, that's a great move. Anyway, so b4, of course. Now, black played h6. Very interesting situation. Maybe the toughest question today. How you would continue here? Sure, it's white to move we are talking about. Oh, guys, I like how you think. You don't rush. Like after 10 seconds. Julam, it's hard to resist, right? Like you want to play. I understand you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, guys, let's move forward. Let's move forward. Okay, first of all, what about b5? Very negative about b5. You trade pawns, a b5, you help me to create pass pawn. Very negative about b5, right? Not a good move. Now, g4, guys, remember, that's exactly what we discussed. I don't want this move as well. We already discussed this. Guys, b5, it's only you play it not in the right way, and you already created a pass pawn for me, so I can take play c5, c6, then c5. So I start rolling on the queen side. Why you create counterplay for me, right? Now, guys, Julian, e5, again, the same. In general, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea, but it's the same. It's kind of like, you know, a little bit helps black because we kind of like open our plans, right? So he now, like, let's say take, goes knight f8, then moves the bishop, then knight e6, you know, like bishop somewhere. I don't know. It's advantage, but I don't know how big it is. Guys, knight d5, knight d5, interesting move actually, but again, I wouldn't rush with this move. Like what now, for instance, I'm not sure about this position. It's too close, right? Yes, we have a bishop, we'll take with the king. I'm not sure 100% what is happening here, right? If it's that, well, what is for sure, white is better, no doubts about this, right? Better, safe, everything. Like, but is it enough? I'm not sure. But you know, by the way, guys, what is surprising here? Like, there is something really strange. I was pretty sure that knight d5 is useless because there is king d6. So I had this impression that it just doesn't make sense. But you know, it's just like when I was preparing for this lesson, I just like noticed that computer believes that after this, check, king e7, ef6, king f6, a4, only move. The end game, well, I even like you know, I'm afraid to say this, but it's very high evaluation. It's like over +2, so it's like winning endgame. But I mean, for me, it's like you know, like, well, it's too many trades, like equal material now. But guys, the problem is like these pawns can be targeted, right? Like, let's say queen side. I don't know, like guys, you might check. But I feel like maybe it was some kind of computer glitch. Very strange. But guys, have you noticed like knight d5 in general, it's like it's too much of like obligations for us, like, you know, we allowed to take, we allow king d6, and after king d6 probably we have to enter this position because otherwise he can start with c5 one day. So I don't like, and I really like the move that Magnus played. So he slowly I'm sorry, that was a glitch. Mouse slip, I'm sorry. He just played a4, guys. Now waiting, not opening the cards, improving. By the way, guys, we mentioned that we don't play, we need to play on the side where we have extra pawn, right? King side. But there is a very special case here. Guys, there is a very special case. First of all, space, right? Like prophylaxis. Secondly, there could be move a5. Very interesting. There could be move a5 when we restrict the pawn structure and maybe potentially target b7. A little bit unusual, but seems like in this position it might work, and not surprising that black, it's a desperation, and black plays g5 in this position. Now, but by the way, guys, before we move forward, I wanted to mention that this is a special comment for GM. Let's say I felt like, oh, well, what happens with king d6, and then black maybe wants c5, then we can play e5. So, like, remember, I mentioned this for the better. We are waiting for more suitable opportunity, right? So now the pawn will be untouchable because of the check, and then we got it like tempo, right? So, and I think it's pretty good. Now, then we, let's say, take a5. So we can carry out in this kind of like move order, right? Guys, okay, moving here, g5, why to play? What we do with the pawn structure? Question is simple. I don't know how about answer. What we do and why? Julian, since you're the first one who answered, maybe you try to explain why. Okay, guys. Credit to Julem and Aditi. So they suggested the right idea, g3. Now, why, guys? So very important point that you need to remember. When you play for a win, you avoid trades of the pawns, right? Now, if you're on defensive side, let's say fighting for the draw, you're interested to trade, right? So, guys, you cannot imagine. So I think like the difference between capturing, let's say, first capture and then g3, right? And immediate g3, I think it's winning advantage versus draw. Such an important idea, guys. Well, it's not a Zux one, but just the idea, like, guys. So here it's very simple. Like, this rule. We don't trade pawns. We want to play for a win. We have space advantage. We don't allow to trade, right? Now, a few guys suggested this idea, like to take. So this is kind of like, I understand this, but guys, take and e5, yeah, and potentially maybe you get the pawn, right? That's kind of what makes sense, and then like g5 is like separated. We target g5, but here's the question of like, if we don't win, then that's a problem. And it seems, guys, like from what I checked, it's not clear if we win. Like there is this strong move. And that's the problem. So he wants knight c6. When we play bishop f3, there will be g4 with the tempo. So he kind of like plays b6. I know the position looks like kind of shaky, but according to computer, it's holdable. Now, but guys, when we trade, especially two pair of pawns, we have to be 100% sure that we like gain the pawn, because otherwise it's too many trades. Too many trades, right? Guys, so here what is important: not allowing trades, and this pawn is weak. That's important. So we keep also this target. This is what's important. Now, Yeah, so if he takes on the 4 h4, I mean, we are ready for that, right? No problem. He actually took g4, g4, and played knight b8. Kind of like helped white, but the position is tough. So the idea of knight c6, what to play, guys? Can you find a very powerful idea for white here? One attempt to answer, right? You remember this, guys. Sure, I take. Okay. Sedant, what is knight g3, knight h5? What does it mean? Yeah, that's ridiculous. Knight g3, knight h5. I understand people like confuse notation sometimes, but knight g3, knight h5? I'm very confused. Knight g3, knight h5. What it's like? Knight g7. Okay, so like, please, before you send the answer, please check the notation because it's very confusing. Okay, guys, let's move forward. Here, there is basically winning idea. Like there have been a lot of moves that you recommended, right? Like I'm not going, but basically there is nothing else that even close to that, right? It's knight d5 check suggested by Kishore, but guys, here it's very important. King d5 advantage, I'm not sure it's winning. This winning 100%. So very interesting transformation. It's by the way, guys, it's a little bit surprising. I mean, like I know, like when I showed this position to my students, like it was counterintuitive for some reason. For like I don't remember anyone suggesting e5. They were suggesting knight d5, but king d5 always. So I'm not surprised, guys. But here we can see the point. So this pawn is weak, and we have a massive threat like this. Guys, the rest was easy. I want just to leave time for the questions. Let's see how the game developed here. So it was very simple. Now, by the way, not to forget that we potentially can have this kind of idea: a5, bishop g4, bishop c8, right? So it's totally lost, guys. Now, Vasher played b6, probably preventing this idea. Now, Magnus, no rush, h5, excellent move. And also like now he played b6, but now this pawn is hanging, so there is no knight d7. He's trying a5, but of course this is already horrible, right? King c5. He played a5. Now bishop b5, cutting off the knight. Knight d7 lost endgame. I'm not talking about other moves, but take king b5 lost. He played king d8. Now everything is winning. So either g6 or king d4. King d4 is fantastic. Resign. Shocking. For me, it was shocking. Guys, so easily like top 5 player in the world, like lost like that, like without chance. What's going on? Yeah, but guys, to be honest, if we would have time, I would ask you probably, what I usually like to do. I go over this game with my students, and then I'm like, okay, give me now 3 places to improve for black. Guys, any idea, like you remember, I cannot open for you notation, right? Like, but probably you remember how the game developed. So there are many places where black can improve. Like maybe I'll start, I'll put this position. Remember, like, so this is how it started, like, right? So let's say 3 places to improve, guys, to avoid this scenario, right? Like which was one-sided. Hard. I want to see like at least 1-2 answers. No, guys, concrete. Develop their rooks. Like, I don't know what does it mean because he played rook d8, right? Bishop b3. Now there is always rook b4. Julian. Rook d8. It was played in the game. Rook d8, rook d1. Danush. c5. There is c5, guys. But he didn't want to play c5. It's a little bit makes it vulnerable, right? Because we play rook d6, knight c8, rook d2. So like I think he didn't like, but it might be not a bad idea. Oh, Asher, fantastic idea. Fantastic idea. Yeah, this is not bad as well, but I feel like they under pressure. Asher, all the credit, guys. Very simple in my opinion. So and he's even improving because rook d8 was played, and I like this. Rook d8, so we play rook d1, right? Rook d4, and now what happened? F4 came, g5. Guys, g5 and king f6. That's the easiest position to improve. Now we go king f6, king e5 we want, right? Now we are not worried e5, knight d7, we target the pawn, so no problems. Queen's not on the board, so we can afford this move. Now for white to get g3, f4 problematic because you play g3, h3 is weak. And I would say like this, like you play g3, maybe if bishop h3, like g4, I don't know what is these complications, right? But I don't need to know. I can play king f6. And then I know like you play f4, then I can take on h3, for sure. And then I get king e5, and that's all. It's like literally equal ending, no problems whatsoever. Right? So it was some kind of miracle, guys. But a few rules. First of all, king is valuable piece, not to forget. Playing on the side where we have a majority. If we play for win, not to trade pawns, right? To keep as many pawns, to be flexible, not to open the cards. You see, like when you advance on the king side, plus you advance on the king side, a4, a5, plus you keep in mind e5 idea. It's very hard to defend. What else? Pawns not on the same, like try to keep like why he didn't play g4, he played h4, keep the bishop open. So like he never played bishop g4, he didn't need this, but in general it was in the air always, right? And well, of course everyone knows centralization of the king, right? King is very valuable in the endgames without queens and so on. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed. I don't know if there is time for nurtr to have like 5 minutes Q&A session. Okay, excellent.
I will ask you if you can to stop to share screen. So there are a few questions for you. Okay, so the first question is, how big is difference between regular grandmaster and top 5 players in the world? Share some
light. That's an interesting question. And I mean, what is very important? Where is the difference, guys? where is the difference? I don't know, guys. It's like how to measure this, but there is a difference, right? There is a difference. I always say, guys, maybe the difference between like regular grandmaster and elite grandmasters that in evaluation, when you know they, let's say, evaluation of complicated lines where you need to visualize the position. So, and the one grandmaster like calculate, and he's like, oh, well, it's equal. And then Magnus can see some extra nuances, right? Extra nuances. He's like, well, you know, pawn b7 might be weak, and I have this plan. So I think this is about that, right? Because guys, think about this, like working on openings, like why like just regular grandmaster, like he might have the same conditions, right? Like he might have like, you know, strong computer and good coaches and everything like this. So I think it's somewhere there, right? Like in some nuances, right?
Okay, which opening do you prefer to play in Blitz and classical over the board matches these days?
Oh well, guys. First of all, I'm not an active player nowadays. I think it's since 2017 more or less. But yeah, always preferred. Well, first of all, off the board. I mean, I really hated, like, this pandemic time when my student played online. It was nightmare. Like, they played 1500 who played like first line of the engines. I mean, and then what I could say, right? Like, I mean, I was just saying, well, just play and just keep in mind that, like, we need to improve and stuff like this. Yeah. In general, yeah, well, I like to play like Blitz off the board, right? But I'm guys, can you believe this? Like, I have never played bullet chess, like never in my life. I don't like it. I think like it's I know it's super popular. People play, people stream, but it's like I also notice it's developed such bad habits for my students. Uh, like, guys. But on the other hand, we need to have some fun sometimes, right? So just, let's say you play Blitz, just don't overwhelm yourself, right? Like, just play maybe sometimes, but not often.
Do you play chess online, and how is different it from playing on the board chess for you?
Yeah, I mean, like, I almost not playing. I mean, just a few games online, maybe. Well, of course, very different. And I said, like, that there is this big issue that I don't think it was resolved in any good way. Like the problem of cheating, right? Like, also you don't see the opponent. Very different, very different.
And what has been the most memorable moment of your chess career?
Oh. Well, I would suggest probably a few moments. Like, now, number one, world champion under 12 back in 1990, many years ago. Then my gold medal in Olympiad, like individual gold medal in 1998. My first Olympiad was amazing experience. Second place of national team in the Olympiad Dresden 2008. Even though my individual result was not that amazing, but like, it's a team competition, second place, the best ever result for Israeli team. And of course, draw with Gary Kasparov with white, like in real game in Israel. I mean, after that I was celebrity for 1 month in Israel, and it was great.
Okay, and the questions like, my current LOE is 1300. How do I improve? I'm 13 years old. You have seen in last few sessions that if you are not Grandmaster by 14, 15, you're considered late. Am I late? Should I leave chess?
Yeah, guys, of course, but I think, like, nowadays, especially in India, you have this pace when, like, 12, 14 years old already grandmasters. Yes, it's tough, but I mean, nowadays everything is possible, right? With the all the technology, computers, I believe everything is possible. And I mean, if you build some efficient process, like how to work on chess, it would be everything. Well, okay, you will become grandmaster like at age 18, for instance. I don't see big difference, right? There are like so many factors. I don't think it's like, oh well, you cannot get like grandmaster like Gukesh. That's a problem, right? Like, it's everyone with his pace. I remember when I became a grandmaster in 1997, was 17 years old, and it's considered to be, I have a good pace pretty much, right? Yeah, guys, just to work properly on chess, right? Like, maybe to hire coach. Everything is possible. You can also, sometimes there could be different goals. Like, for instance, I don't know, some players now just stream on Twitch or YouTube channels, and they're doing pretty good, like, and they're not even the grandmasters. Could be different goals, right? So somebody is like sent like 10 times how to understand endgames. Maybe I just addressed this very quickly, Alexandra. So guys, how to understand endgames, to study endgames, right? To study endgames. There are a lot of books, a lot of material. Now it's usually, there are like two components. Like, one is theoretical endgames, right? Like, first of all, it's hard for you to study this kind of endgames when you don't know like simple stuff, right? Starting from like all mates, right? Like including knight and bishop, and then like rook endgames. And so theoretically, like for instance, there is a, guys, highly recommended, there is a book, 100 endgames you must know. So that's another stage after you know how to mate with it, like with bishop and knight, with two bishops and stuff. So they already consider like what to do, like rook endgames, let's say rook and bishop against rook and stuff like this. So that's must read book, you know, 100 endgames you must know. And then you can slowly move to like endgames. Like there are books like famous book, Russian author, his name is Chereshevsky, playable endgames. So he discussing endgames like Whitehead. I have a nice course on Chessable. It's called Russian Endgame Technique. I know Russian maybe not a good word right now, but that's a chess history. So, you know, guys, a lot of material. You just start studying. Yeah, you get experience. I also understand perfectly that on the lower level, it's quite often like you rarely get to fight in endgames because either the game is over or maybe you get to the endgame when one side has already extra material. That's a different story, right? But the more you improve, the more chances you will get like more playable endgames that you need to know how to handle, right? Guys, just going over the material, right?
Okay, and there is one question about opening repertoire. The person is playing Scotch or closet Sicilian or Alpine Sicilian with white, and
Okay.
Scandinavian as black, and struggling a lot what to do against d4 as black, like struggling a lot in how to play proper these closed positions.
Guys, it's you know, the opening choice, it's very personal. It's very important, whatever like you feel it's appealing to you. Like I don't like Scandinavian, you play Scandinavian, right? It's okay opening, right? I'm like not super fan, but of course, like, you know, grandmasters play, cousin play, and everything is good, right? So you need to find something that appeals to you, right? I mean, like for instance, I personally, for me, that would be such an easy job when I just like everyone that I work with, I would say like, oh well, guys, you know, like get my books, first d4. You know, I have all these like books on first d4, and no, but I always kept flexible. I just believe that everyone has its own preferences, own choices, whatever you like check the openings. It's if it's normal opening, not some crazy gambit, there are like at least 10 reliable openings, whether it's King's Indian, Grunfeld, Queen's Gambit Decline, Nimzo, you know, Slav, everything is good. Just check the games, what you like, what kind of pawn structure. Do you like close pawn structure? Do you like a little bit open? Are you okay giving up the center like Grunfeld? I mean, make your choice. Just feel free about this. You know, just if you know that this is the opening played by grandmasters, that means it's reliable. So you can start studying.
Thank you, Boris. And I would like to thank also our users for joining, and I hope that all you are going to stay safe and take care until the next lesson.
Great. Thank you, Alexandra. Thanks for moderating. I'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye-bye, guys. Hope you enjoyed.
Bye-bye, guys.